Josh Radnor is back in NBC's brand new Glee meets Friday Night Lights mashup, Rise. We have thoughts, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Mama who bore me.
Okay.
Mama who gave
You guys Spring Awakening fans?
Mama the angel. Yeah.
Yes, kind of.
I like the music.
For those tuning in for the first time, guys, this is TV Pilot Reviews. We are listening to this song right now because today's show, Rise, for those who maybe have or haven't seen it, is actually a show kind of surrounded by musical theater. And in this first season, they're pushing to stage a production of Spring Awakening at the high school that the cast is living at. But before we get into the coverage, guys, my name's Jeff. Again, if you're tuning in for the first time, we cover pilots on this show. This isn't an after show. We actually do, in fact, have an after show for Rise, but we're here to tell those of you who haven't seen the show whether or not you should watch it. So we've seen it, we have opinions, and before we get into it, I've got some friends. Say hello, guys.
Hi guys, Linda Antwi here. I am super excited to talk about this little musical. Maybe I'll do a little like la la la.
Whoa, that would be a thing. Hey guys, I'm Sam Davidson.
And I'm DeAnJilo.
Thanks, guys. Okay, cool. So the first thing I want to ask is, what's your guys' overall feeling on shows with music in them? Like Glee or other ones?
I'm not a musical fan.
Not at all. Do you like any musicals in general, or just...
Disney, I deal with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
like, you mean like classic Disney movies like Beauty and the Beast and like
And Frozen.
Frozen, okay.
You said you fell asleep.
I didn't say I fell asleep. I said I didn't finish it.
Okay.
Fair enough. So,
It was a
like
Netflix
Hamilton,
and
do you
chill
like that? Or like,
I'm sorry.
do you like a Hamilton or just any music?
I haven't seen Hamilton.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I do like Shakespeare stuff.
Yeah, but they don't sing in that.
Oh, they don't? Oh, well, there you go.
Sometimes. There's like remakes of Shakespeare plays where they sing, but...
It's terrible.
What about you, Sam? Are you a musical person?
I mean, what do you think?
Yeah. I think you
Okay.
It really doesn't matter
Yeah.
what it was gonna be. I was gonna enjoy it, which I did.
Linda?
I like musicals. I'm gonna steal from Bree, our producer engineer. I like the darker musicals though, so I would like something like this over a Glee.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm a musical fan. I used to sing on a ship. I don't know if you guys knew that.
No.
I did that for
You
6
know,
months.
that does not surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up singing and I like musicals. And yeah, I think it helped me like this show overall, but I don't know. We always do our overall reaction to the pilot, and I guess I'll start because I'm getting into it. You know, I think this is a show I'm going to like and a show I plan on watching. With a pilot that I felt a little let down by. Going into this, I saw that it was created and showrun by the same guy who was showrunning Friday Night Lights, which is one of my favorite shows. And we're going to talk about some of the similarities, I think, with Friday Night Lights in this show. But this kind of felt like a cheaper version of Friday Night Lights to me. Both shows are set in a high school and deal with kind of myriad of diverse characters coming together to create something. But to me, Friday Night Lights does it a lot better. I found a lot of moments in this pilot very unsurprising. And I did think there was a lot of kind of cliche moments happening that I felt a little let down by. And I gotta say, I'm worried that Josh Radnor was not the right pick for the main guy teaching, sort of leading this musical. But that's my take. I'm still gonna watch the show because there's a lot that I think I will like if they can fix some of the problems I identified in the pilot. What do you think, Linda?
I agree with you 100%. I was mentioning this earlier. I watched it twice because the first time I think that I was tuning out. There were things that I thought were unrealistic matched with things that were realistic. But I felt like they were doing the stereotypes so that we would get the point. But then I was like, don't make your audience, don't dumb it down. Just be what it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I watched it the second time and I enjoyed it more, and I probably would watch it more overall. But I think the pilot, some of the way they spoke and some of the way they interact with each other was just not realistic in 2018.
Yeah.
Isn't it a relatively late? It's the airtime is late. Like they show it at 10, I think.
9.
I don't know, whatever time slot it is. I thought it was going to be, that meant it was going to be a little more risque or something.
A little edgier?
And I was excited.
You're right, Sam, it's 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, it is 10 p.m.
Like,
okay.
that's late, and Smash, I don't know if you guys remember that show. It was on NBC. Was it on NBC, Bree? Do you remember Smash?
Yeah, it was on NBC.
Yeah, and that definitely, that was adults, though. It was a musical as well. But, yeah, there was a moment where Josh Radnor's character just says, you know, the guy's bad. I'm not giving spoilers. The guy's not very good, and he goes, just let it go. Just act like you. Next thing you know, he's amazing.
Yeah,
It's not really how it works.
I agree. Yeah.
That would be my, well, for one, I've never seen Glee, so this idea seems completely fresh to me. But other than that, I feel like the uncanny parallels to that show. I think the only critique I have about it was the pacing. I actually enjoyed it, even though I'm not a big musical guy. So like, I mean, for me, I just feel like, one, I also really like the main character just because of his past, and but for the most part, my only real critique is just like you said, it was like really like forced in some parts because they wanted to make you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like organically introduced.
Bree, what did you think?
I'm on the same page as like a lot of you, I feel, where I enjoyed it for overall, but I did feel like there was some issues, some problems, a little bit cliche. I think people keep saying a lot of like High School Musical meets Glee meets Friday Night Lights meets Parenthood, so it's like stuff we've seen a lot before, but I do think I agree with you, Jeff, where they can make it work. And I'm invested to see if that's going to happen later on down the road, if they're going to take these turns. And then I just will say that I did appreciate, without spoiler and stuff, that this was a musical show where it's not just people randomly bursting out into song.
Yeah, I definitely
The
agree.
music was built in.
It made sense. That's why I don't like musicals where it's just like forced and
Right.
That's like the music is the more important part than the actual storyline. I feel like the storyline was more important in this show.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that frustrated me was I didn't think the music actually drove the plot at all. It was incidental. So it was like, in a perfect musical, I think the music's incidental in the sense that they're singing for a specific reason. They're not just randomly bursting out into song, but the music is also there for a certain reason.
Yeah.
If you were to cut all the songs from this, it wouldn't change the plot at all. We wouldn't miss anything, whereas in the best musicals, the songs operate to push the narrative or reveal something about character. And you could even do that with songs that already exist. Glee did that, where even though they're using pop songs, they chose specific songs that would comment on the show or drive the characters or give
Do you
us
feel
something.
like Glee overdid it though with it?
Yeah, I do think they did, but I think this show could have. I mean, like, Spring Awakening is about a bunch of high school misfits figuring out who they are, and I feel like they could have used that to their advantage in this
I think
episode.
they did. They just didn't do it with music. They definitely.
fair.
Everyone there, I would say, is a misfit in some way.
Yeah, I just feel like I didn't pick up. I just feel like they could have done a better job using not only the sort of the plot of Spring Awakening, but the music from that show to give us insights about either the character or the plot during the actual episode.
But do you think that possibly is coming because now that they've decided they are moving forward?
Yeah.
That could be something that's
I hope
that's
so.
Hopefully,
happening.
yeah.
What confused me, because I started following the show's Instagram and stuff, and like looking at all the trailers and their like Instagram stories, and they're singing like as though it's part of the story in a lot of the trailers
Yeah.
and in like the little cuts of the Instagram stories that they show of teasers, and they're just like singing on their own, and it's not in the theater. So I was kind of confused. It wasn't what I expected at all.
Yeah, like, to me, the music didn't add much. Like, do you feel like when you look back at it, I mean, it's a big choice to make a show where music is included and singing is included.
Yeah.
And when I think back on the pilot, that's not what stands out to me.
I don't think I would have even known that it was considered. You could get away with not calling it a musical based on the first episode. I
Right.
don't think I knew it was.
Are they calling it a musical?
Is it?
I mean, let's see,
I
a
think they
musical
might be
drama.
trying to make it kind of like a thing where if you enjoy musicals, you could watch it, but if you don't, you don't necessarily.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
disrupt it for you. I don't know if that's completely what they're going for. We'll see in the future, but that's my guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't like musicals, so and,
Right.
I wasn't bothered by this show.
That's
I
fair.
felt like it was more of a drama that happens to be about musical theater.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree.
You know?
That's a better way to put it. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe I was going in kind of hoping for Glee, and this partly gets into my problems with the main character is I feel like if you're making a show about something as spirited and like life affirming as like musical theater, it feels a little weird to make such a serious show. And like that's part of the thing is, did you guys watch Friday Night Lights?
Yeah, it
So-
had the mood of that.
Yeah, so same showrunner, and if you guys look at the way it's shot, both shows are shot on long lenses, so it's got that really intimate feel where you almost feel like you're in the room with the characters. I think when you're talking about like a town whose heart and soul is a football team, that makes so much sense, and the serious tone kind of works for me. Whereas when you're talking about like, can this English teacher stage the High School Musical? It felt like a little weird to like have it be such a serious show. And that's actually what I liked about Glee was kind of self-aware and silly and campy. And I feel like the musical components of Glee worked so much better for that reason.
I agree with that 100%.
I think that's a spin on the show. I think that's why I liked it, because
Yeah.
it didn't feel like a prototypical musical. It didn't feel like overly happy and like. I mean, maybe that's what you guys value, but
Right.
I think I was drawn in because it wasn't that way. It was like
And
relatable.
I think that just based on the setting, right? So I wrote some notes here, like it's in Stanton, Pennsylvania. It's a steel mill city, so kind of a depressed city. So I think it works with the seriousness of the times of the city.
Yeah.
Because if you look at some of the characters and some of the things that they said on the show without spoiling, it's not like it's a booming economy. It's like
Right.
a heavy economy, middle to lower class. So I can see it being serious because they're dealing with serious issues.
Yeah. I'm wondering, it might just not be the show I necessarily want. So curious, how many of you guys at the table have watched Friday Night Lights? All of us. Okay, cool. So it's interesting, Linda, you were talking about the town as this like steel town, and the thing I really liked about Friday Night Lights was it was the same. It was kind of this poor West Texas community. Was it Tyler? Is that right?
Yeah, Tyler,
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah. And the thing is, I feel like the identity of the town was so much more clear to me in that show. Like, I think had I not have read about it, or had you not have said, I might not have realized that Stanton, Pennsylvania was sort of an impoverished town. Whereas in Friday Night Lights, it's like this football team is the lifeblood of the town.
But did you get that from the pilot?
I think so, because of the commentary and
Okay.
the game's happening this Friday. And, you know, it's
Yeah,
like
okay.
already the stakes are so high in that show.
What I mean, I feel like in Friday Night Lights, the setting was the city that was telling the story, like similar to some of the shows we've reviewed, like The Shy. The setting was the city. I
Yeah.
don't think the setting is the city. It's another character, another thing. But the school, I would say, is like the thing that's kind of driving everything. So
Right.
I think the football team being important to the city is one storyline, but it's not as important of a variable as it is with Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, quickly talking about development, guys, this is airing on NBC at 10 p.m. on Tuesdays. It was created and is being showrun by Jason Katims, thank you, who, as I mentioned, was showrunning Friday Night Lights for a while. So I think we see some of the similarities in that. It is about a high school. It's actually based on a book called Drama High by Michael Sokolov. And it's a nonfiction story about sort of what we saw in this pilot, which is sort of the high school theater department kind of saving the lives of these misfits. So really pretty similar to Glee if you've seen that show.
And this is a real life story, right?
Yes, based
Based
on
off the book.
story.
yes, a nonfiction book,
Yep.
which is actually true of Friday Night Lights as well,
Oh wow.
based on a book.
But from what I hear, they changed the protagonist, the teacher. I'm just gonna call him Ted. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Lou Mazzucchelli.
Yeah, and he was gay in the book, and a loner.
Wow.
That's what
So-
Bree told me. Sorry, Bree, I totally stole that.
So let's go ahead and talk about that, because I gotta say, I think this pilot would have been a little more interesting if he was gay.
No, okay. I thought you were gonna just come for him as a character. Never mind.
No, I thought his performance was fine. There was something about like, why is this English teacher who's directed one musical at summer camp all of a sudden the
Wants to
savior
be-
of the show?
and
Like,
wants to be the musical director all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, why all of a sudden after, I think he said, however long, he's been at the school for a very long time.
Yeah.
Right? You never expressed interest, and then all of a sudden one day you're like, I want to do this, and then you get it, and then you just have this, I don't know.
I feel like they insinuated the way. I'm not trying to spoil it, but it involved his interaction with his wife
Yeah.
when trying to get permission. Insinuated it.
And family.
Yeah.
yeah.
And his son too.
I think that some of it had to do with the way it was written. I think that maybe there was not a clear direction, although it was entertaining. I think, like we all said in the beginning, some of it seemed forced.
Yeah.
Well, I think what happened probably was that it's based off of this novel, and we also have the guy that did Friday Night Lights and Parenthood, and then there's this whole Glee aspect in it, and it's trying to be so many things at the same time while probably trying to be true to the novel in some way. So it kind of was trying to do everything.
Yeah, I agree.
I think of Game of Thrones. I think of Game of Thrones, and why I think of that is because even though it's based off of these books, they do take their own dramatic. What's the word I'm looking for?
Liberty?
Liberty.
Yeah.
Thank you. And maybe they could do that with this in the book and make it more something.
Did you guys find the character of Lou Mazzucchelli really, really interesting? So just so you guys know, he's the high school teacher that decides to take on this cause of making a musical at his high school.
I'm highly biased because I like him. I like him because of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Me too.
Me
Yeah.
too.
He's no Will Schuester.
That's
Sorry.
kind of what I was thinking.
That's the Glee reference in there. But yeah, I did like him though, but I just kept on thinking about Ted from How I Met Your Mother, and I was like, it's been off for 2 years. Since when did he get married and have like 2 children and is gray all of a sudden?
Yeah.
I think I might have even just liked his character because he, without spoiling stuff, he kind of beat the norm of it. Like, whereas in a lot of high schools, we're gonna cast the same people, we're gonna do this. He's actually thinking more of like an actual play director and how he does things. So that kind of drew me into the character and liking him a little bit better.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I just like, when I learned that the original character was gay, it just gave me something that would have been a little more interesting, I think. Like, if he was some kind of minority. I hate to imply that a straight white guy can't be an interesting character, but again, it's like, I would love to see sort of a really visible motivation as to why he wants to, like, serve all these outcasts at his school, besides just, like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Which I kind of
That's
feel
a
like is
fair
what
point.
we got. I don't know.
Maybe we're gonna find out later.
Yeah.
That would be
we are.
interesting.
I think so. I mean, I think about the first episode of Parenthood, and I don't think it was fantastic, but that is the kind of show that was like a slow burn, and it was amazing to binge. And I think this will be going down a similar path. That once we watch, I wanted to watch 4, and I feel like once you watch 4, then you're gonna understand the show.
I
love
agree.
binging in general, though.
Yeah, I have a problem.
Go ahead.
I was just say, I just think I hope we find a flaw with him, because like right now he's just kind of a Jesus character.
So we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I think we're going to find a lot of flaws, and I think that the flaws are going to be within his family.
Yeah.
Agreed.
From what we've seen so far, and then even towards the end, what he does. Yeah. I think he's going to have some major flaws, actually.
I would say probably it'll have a lot to do with his relationship with his son, too.
Yeah.
That's why I say family.
And I will say, I'm not giving any spoilers, but I think when you make it to the end of this pilot episode, you will feel rewarded. My heart was warmed, and I was excited. I was kind of down on it, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this. And the last scene happened, and I was like, okay, I'm in. So, it's one of those shows.
Okay, without spoiling, I kind of hated that last scene.
Guys, just sorry not to interrupt. I just wanted to call out. We have Taylor Gates in the chat right
Oh,
now.
hi Taylor.
Hey, Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
She says, I agree, Jeff. Excited to see different layers of the teachers.
Yes.
Nice.
Just so you guys know, Taylor is one of our esteemed hosts and is also on the after show for Rise. I think I'm not going to give anything away, but a lot of this show was talking about the budget of the theater department, and then the whole theater department collectively made a decision that really confused me budgetarily, where they're like, the football team's just burning money. And then they made a decision where I was like, I don't know. I just kind of had problems. I think Linda's laughing because, I don't know. I don't want to give anything away.
It was dramatic, okay, you guys?
I liked it from a writing standpoint, but I just felt like there was a lot of moments in this pilot where I was like, ooh, I don't believe that.
I
Unfortunately,
tell you,
I don't
the
know.
cringe moment was hearing Homeboy rap.
Yeah, that was
cringy for me.
tough, I
like,
thought,
that's- that-
too.
And then they acted like it
liked
was
it.
the-
liked it.
I
It was
liked
so
it.
corny.
liked
I was
it.
on board
I
with you.
guess
It was
that was the-
cringeworthy for me as well, DeAnJilo.
Thank you, Bree.
Yeah. And
Linda, we agree. This is
I know.
I know, it's
Shocking.
rare. It's very
And yeah,
rare.
anytime I'm watching a show where there's a montage of bad auditions, I'm just like, oh, another one.
I know, it's so prototypical.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I went in with too high of expectations because I think both Friday Night Lights and Parenthood are like really like masterful shows. So I want to give this a play. We didn't even do pass or play,
yeah.
but I'm a play. I really want to see what this show can do. But I think if it kind of sticks to the formula we saw in this pilot, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on board.
Oh, wow.
Personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a play, and I think I'm a play for the audience. And I wrote this down, so we've all said it. So if you like Friday Night Lights, Glee, This Is Us, The OC, Parenthood, then this is going to be right up your alley.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that it is going to continue to get better.
Yep.
and it's gonna be a slow burn show. Which sometimes it's nice. It's more fun to binge. There's one other thing I was gonna say, and I lost it. I'll throw it in there if I remember after.
You can cut me off about it. Yeah. I'm a pass play actually. I definitely think it's a show worth watching, but I think my list of shows to continue on, just like it becomes more difficult to like reach that list, and it's just not a show that's interesting enough for me to want to keep up with it, but it is a good show.
I remember.
Yes.
Okay, so as with like Parenthood specifically, kind of Friday Night Lights, it's the show that almost every member of a family can watch together and enjoy different aspects of it, which I think is kind of what Jason Katims does in general with his shows. Like, you can watch it with your dad and your little sister, and you guys will all like it.
True. That's a good point.
Yeah, great point. Well, I have high hopes for this show. I want it to be good. And yeah, I didn't hate the pilot. I just I think I was disappointed by how unsurprised I was by it, if that makes sense.
For a 10 p.m. time slot, guys, we want to see some crazy edgy stuff.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, any other thoughts about the pilot to Rise before we score the show?
Check it out and check out the after show.
Yes.
Do you know what did we say when our after show is?
I think Bree probably knows.
The after show is at 9 p.m. on Tuesday nights.
Bree, can you make that chat a little bigger? I just want to shout out some of our...
Yeah, sorry guys, my computer broke.
No worries.
It's actually just me and Taylor in the chat right
there you go.
now.
What's up, Taylor and Bree? Thanks for joining the chat. What's up?
Bree, did you have any last thoughts before we make our way out?
No, basically just the same thing as you guys. Like, I'm gonna give it a few more episodes. Like, I'm gonna play for now. We'll see how it goes later on. I think it's gonna. I want it to get more drastic for me to continue it though past a few episodes.
Cool. All right. Well, do you guys think this show's gonna make it to a second season?
Oh, they got a lot to prove.
Yeah, they do.
Especially on NBC.
And there's so much good stuff out there.
Right.
NBC is so cool. We've talked about this before, but the major networks are so quick to cut shows.
I have high hopes.
Yeah.
Also, with just paying royalties for some of these songs, it's gonna have to do well to get a second season.
110%. I think it definitely will, even if people don't like it.
Yeah, this show's not cheap, I don't think.
Yeah.
And we accurately predicted that The Mayor would have made it if it was a multicam, but with such an expensive show, and it does kind of feel like The Mayor was ABC's like Golden Horse.
Mm-hmm. So embarrassing.
Yeah.
For ABC.
And
we should just it's not TV pilot reviews. We should just call ourselves The Mayor.
Shade the Mayor.
Shade the Mayor.
Shade the Mayor.
We always find a way to get it in there.
Every time.
It does kind of feel like Rise right now is sort of NBC's like new spring golden horse that they're trying to push. So yeah, I do think this show's going to have to do well to continue. But I will say, I think it's a show a lot of people will like.
I think so.
Along with that, if I were to rate this pilot, I would have given it a 2.9 out of 5.
Am I next?
Yes.
I'm going to say 2.5.
I give it a 3.0.
It's 2.5.
Cool. For those in the comments, I would love to know, 1, are you a pass or play? 2, what did you think? 3, do you think the show's going to make it? And 4, what's your score out of 5? We'd be really curious to hear. You can do that in the comments on this YouTube, or you guys can reach us on Twitter. If you guys want to connect with me on Twitter, you can do that at Jeffrey C. Graham, and I'm surrounded by some other brilliant folks.
I'm Linda So Girly all across social media.
You guys can find me at SamD43 on Twitter and on Instagram.
And I'm DeAnJilo. You can hit me up on Twitter at DeAnJiloTV or on Instagram at DeAnJilo.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. It's just fun.
Yeah.
And for those listening, don't forget that AfterBuzz TV doesn't just cover dramas or comedies. We cover everything. Animated shows, reality shows.
Everything.
I won't do that.
You did it well, though.
That was not bad. It wasn't a bad
really good, actually. I thought.
And with that, we'll see you next Wednesday at 9 p.m.
Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.